5 years ago, I started making videos on YouTube, and just like many, I wanted to do something during lockdown, something that would also utilize some of the things that I learned while getting my degree. I made fun videos that had practically no rhyme or reason.
Is grad school a pyramid scheme?
Sometimes I made alteration to clothes, sometimes
I will write something like this. Just measure it on your goddamn hand.
makeup videos, sometimes I made videos trying to find a fruit that my dog likes.
Pick up a pear. Interested at all? There's a tooth out.
Then I decided to make a video because of a bunch of teaser images that came out about a Winx Club live action adaptation, and those images shook me to my core. The wardrobe was atrocious, and technically speaking, we later found out that it matched the absolutely horrid art direction that they went for. So I made a video restyling the show the way that I thought would be best for the adaptation, and that was the video that got my channel monetized. I went on to make a few more restyling videos because people were requesting it, and with it came other questions about fashion, other requests for fashion videos, trends, cultural aesthetic pivots, red carpet looks, etc. However, I like fashion only insofar as it pertains to art. Only when it's made and discussed as such, made not only like art, but good art, which excludes any idiots that learned a couple of words like oeuvre or Anthropocene and ran with it. I'm talking about you, Grimes. Any art, including fashion, is only important insofar as it is made by people for people, serving to connect to the human condition and maybe make living a little bit more tolerable. I don't know. By which I mean art is only good as long as it's not some bourgeois farce, which it most often is. Each year I've made a video about trends that happened that year, predictions for the trends that are gonna happen next year. And with each year, I was more and more fed up with the bullshit I have to deal with as regular people. I always had issues with it. The artworks I've made as a 19-year-old will tell you as much. I didn't know much about global politics back then, but the frustrations and opinions were very similar to what they are today.
Thought that maybe work and discipline would be enough.
Boring.
Thought that maybe work and discipline would be enough.
Boring.
But those are not the things that bring you luck.
Just mere months after that Winx video that, got my channel monetized, I got blood cancer and had to deal with that whole thing. Feeling the effects of the capitalist economy on the disabled, even if temporarily so. Those prediction videos that I've made became kind of annoying to me because I just kind of had to complain about the capitalist brain rot that was going on all around us. Just this lack of any artistic quality or cultural meaning in the trends and cycles that make you want to buy more and more. And at first there was some satisfaction to be found in being able to predict and or explain the trends. But this is the type of shit that can entertain any functioning brain for so long, even as a type of entertainment. People in my niche on YouTube kind of got stuck in producing the same videos over and over and over again, and it's no doubt that it's because of YouTube preferring it. But at this point, I'd rather make a video that gets like 300 views, but I make something at least remotely good than cosplay as an intellectual while talking about buccal fat removal. Like, please. Many people who could be making better shit are incentivized to stay within a certain window of acceptable formats on YouTube, and there are reasons for it, obviously. This is unfortunately a problem everywhere, including fashion, and it's getting only worse and worse because of the impossibility of surviving in this shit economy, hence the inshitification that we're all talking about. Even outside of YouTube and content production, we're constantly forced to apply for jobs that have this sneaky little AI addition to the name of the job, to the title of the job, basically choosing between temporary employment while also training your replacement, or starvation, I guess. It's fantastic. When it comes to fashion, it includes a lot more than just podium-bound clothes. It is a word that includes trends in any class, any time, not the allotted time frames of capital city fashion weeks. Some people see it as a descriptor of a style, some see it as a tug of war between social and individual, as well as between upper and lower classes. The most comprehensive take on fashion in terms of just like theorizing about it is obviously Simmel. That's the first person that comes to mind. But in my opinion, his take is a bit flawed. There's some interesting thoughts on it anyway. So I don't think we should discount it entirely, obviously, but fashion, in a sense of what we think of it today, is incredibly capitalistic endeavor, pastime that many less capable capitalists cling on to for dear life to get a taste of that bohemian artist life. And capitalism as an ideology is obviously associated with what? Individualism, yes. Which is why fashion, being a favorite of capitalists, is ideologically and philosophically comical. It's connected by money, purchasing, the constant creation of novelty for consumption. But I would argue that these things are not inherent to fashion. Even in anti-capitalist societies, trends appear and disappear based on a bunch of realities of a group of people. Capitalist media and cultural output really want everyone to think that pretty trinkets that we as humans just like crows do, by the way, are somehow a thing you gotta, go without if you also want to have universal healthcare and billionaires dead and outlawed, which is, really convenient and effective as a fear-inducing tactic. You take a population that largely has to constantly go without in a society that promises individual, eventual, better life, where you're not only gonna have, but you're gonna have extra. Then you tell that downtrodden population with what seems like an incurable aspiration malady that to be afforded human dignity, materially speaking, of course, they have to not only give up their, hypothetical future riches, but also somehow give up the very little that they have currently. If the Reds take over, kiss your iPhones goodbye. That kind of shit. It's honestly the laziest way to convince people that there is no alternative, but especially considering just studying history a little bit will literally tell you that that's just not correct. Somehow it's also the most effective one. It doesn't matter that it does not align with reality. You just gotta scare those that already have so little into thinking that they would lose what they never had and never will have. Ideological farce is basically what makes fashion just so much more vulnerable to be consumed by art vultures. One thing that I think really pushes art to become slop, not in an AI type of way necessarily, is the concept of art for art's sake. If you've ever studied art, I know you're grown right now, and that's so real of you actually, but this phrase has been used by so many. It basically became a sprawling descriptor that oftentimes doesn't even say anything anymore. It was basically a slogan to free art from all politics somehow. I think that's genuinely impossible, because even when you choose to stay out of politics, that decision reflects not only on your opinions but on you as a person, to be fucking honest. You don't exist outside of the context of the entire society. You're still going to have political context whether you want to acknowledge it or not. People oftentimes like to create two teams when it comes to art production. It's either l'art pour l'art or the socialist realism type shit, and honestly neither one exists in the way that people think they do. Just everything is political whether you like it or not. So art for art's sake doesn't really exist. With socialist realism, taste and perspective is an innate part of a human being, and especially of someone who's trying to portray something visually. It's just conceptually impossible to not have any impact on anything that you are presenting. We should talk about, socialist realism and what it actually ended up being in the podcast, but regardless, the current political and social state of the world demands that fashion becomes only aesthetics. At best, allowing some identity politics to decorate the facade with a bit of color and texture, but leaving the structure intact. Everyone demands for designers, photographers, and others to know that it's not that deep, which is an issue, as we've discussed collectively multiple times. Of course, some bourgeois critics are going to act like bringing back black and white or underlining the functionality of office clothes, both said in a lot more convoluted way, is somehow interesting and intellectually riveting. But no one who's paying attention is fooled, and no one who's paying attention thinks this is sufficient enough to be called culture. Anyway, this is basically why the culture industry Enlightenment as mass deception by Adorno and Horkheimer fits so well with this discussion and what I'm trying to say with this video as a whole. I've already said for years at this point that everything is fashionable, nothing is fashionable anymore. Even those versions of fashion that used to signal certain values flattened and decontextualized to hell, making everyone a mere aesthetic and nothing else. And flatness, weirdly enough, creates less aesthetic variation, even though there's a lot of mix and matching going on and a lot of studying of what aesthetics is. Fashion is both an individual and a collective endeavor, which is an idea that Simmel covers in detail. Fashion is the imitation of a given example and satisfies the demand for social adaptation. At the same time, it satisfies in no less degree the need of differentiation, the tendency towards dissimilarity, the desire for change and contrast. Fashion is a product of class distinction and operates like a number of other forms, honor especially, the double function of which consists in revolving within a given circle and at the same time emphasizing it as separate from others. A weird uniformity that arises in fashion that tries at the same time to make fashion as exceptional and individualistic as possible is common in other aspects of society, like urban planning and architecture, for example. The same uniformity claims mass culture, all because of convergence of power. The more concentrated power is in the hands of a few, the more monopolies we get, the more identical shit they produce. One difference you might get if you're lucky is the aesthetic difference. But with an increase in class divide and wealth disparity, even those crumbs of artistic expression and human qualities are erased. Well, yeah, going into fashion is kind of like going into business, you know? It's like that with anything that you want to do. And also, have you thought about maybe doing the whole fashion is a business frowny face, your brand? How about making it your brand? The whole it insists upon itself shtick. How about that? Movies and radio need no longer pretend to be art. The truth that they are just business is made into an ideology in order to justify the rubbish they deliberately produce. They call themselves industries, and when their directors' incomes are published, any doubt about the social utility of the finished products is removed. In our case, we can just remove, movies and radio and replace it with fashion and call it a day. Really? We are at a point where rubbish is produced at just unimaginable rate, including slop we, as online creators, produce to put a little glossy varnish of aspiration on this shit cake of dead and rotting culture of appeasing the bourgeois class. This varnish is not just to make it appear better, it is also to create a shit ton of options that seem to be available to everyone, from those who can afford $5 bags to those who can just drop 100k on it. The point is not to just produce the objects, it's also to have this trend mongering media produced right along it, targeting a very specific consumer. The public is catered for with a hierarchical range of mass-produced products of varying quality, thus advancing the rule of complete quantification. Everybody must behave as if spontaneously in accordance with his previously determined and indexed level, and choose the category of mass product turned out for his type. This phenomena is so deeply, and I mean deeply set in our reality now, that many petit bourgeois, and even lumpen proletariats, of course,
soundbite this: God is the greatest. In fact, I'm lumpen proletariat. Soundbite this:
are infuriated whenever they're confronted with the real life examples of a specific consumer not consuming the right kind of fashion. They also hate when aesthetics are not on their side because it undermines this illusion, of deserving of the exceptional wealth that they have, which makes this hypocritical state of mind that you have to be in as a capitalist harder to uphold for those that operate on vibes and genuinely feeling superior, to other classes of people. Seeing Kardashian Jenners and laughing at how tasteless that whole clan is, it's related to why people assume that anyone with taste or any form of self-assuredness about their aesthetic sensibilities is rich. They are lines that you don't cross. All of them created by capitalists, by the way. This is why they're so much more upset at poor people that look aesthetically dignified, because it's supposed to be something you buy with money, and it's supposed to be something you're stripped away of when becoming a wage slave. The hypocrisy and delusion that you have to commit to in order to pretend that this system makes any sense penetrates all levels of perceived intelligence. Idiots like Kardashian Jenners are committed, but so are people who are clearly not dumb, like people who critique wastefulness, eco-terrorism, we commit on a daily, while doing it without criticizing the ideology and the economic systems that demand that wastefulness and many types of terrorism to exist. You basically have to be palatable to fuckers like Musk or, what is his name, Sam Altman? God. First grade losers, by the way, in order to have a career, because money trumps logic, altruism, or general concern for human life. You just gotta be like those minimalism dick riding fools.
Important things, which actually aren't things at all.
Trying to meditate your way out of being a soul-sucking leech on working class backs. Or like that deluxe, how luxury lost its luster author. This book, man, as soon as you open it, it jumps right into pretending to be a little pearl-clutching Western woman so offended by the effects of communism in a city where she finds illegal by Chinese standards counterfeit goods factories. Speculation, one of the most uncommunist things, making her clutch her pearls while screaming communism, as if the same people who made luxury lose its quality are not the ones ordering their products to be produced legally. I mean, now not as commonly in China because, there was a crackdown from the government, Chinese government, but the sheer audacity, girl, the audacity. It's eco-consciousness and concern for human rights outside of anti-capitalism, which is just as impotent as it is desirable in a system like ours. Gives us, the masses in the West, a feeling, this feeling of superiority to the evil China that produces our goods that we order and sink a shit ton of money and resources into creating pockets of production plants that slip under the radar of newly implemented local laws. And this is across the board in the global South in general. We wag our finger at them as if we're not the ones who made that system up, as if we don't do the same shit under our own noses, like Dior in Italy recently, producing goods technically in Italy while using illegal labor and inhumane conditions with shady acquired raw materials. Every time I have to make a fashion video, I'm implicitly expected to say something that makes capital aspiring girls and gays feel both morally superior because of physically being in a country they assume to be ethical, while showing trends that make you actually cool. And this is an expectation that's put on me by the market, not audiences that are aware. My audience that stuck around, I don't really think that any of them are interested in sugarcoating, to be fucking honest. I'm sure you, just like me, like some good fun. But fun does not mean we have to be dicks to people, whether they live in the same country or continent as us while we're at it. The market is this and similar platforms and people, but largely people that would click on a Mr. Beast video, and God knows I don't fuck with people as dumb as that. Fuck all of those creators who are just like copy-paste Mr. Beast as well. It's not just him, but he's just, I guess the only one whose name I know, because it's just everywhere for a while. Fuck all of those creators who are the same flavor as Mr. Beast and Mr. Beast included, because you are infecting the world with degeneracy. You are the reason adults in America have an average level of reading comprehension of a 6th grader. Those creators, Mr. Beast included, are honestly also at that same level of comprehension, which is just pathetic, but what are you gonna do? This is the culture we've created. This is what we've got. Speaking of him and copycats, people complain about similarity of content even in the more creative fields or genres of online videos, including the proliferation of dog shit thumbnails. And listen, some people don't like the 2 photos creator in the middle structure because of how popular it is and how boring it is, and I hear you, but then again, stop clicking on those, bitch. Stop clicking on it. I'm begging. All the other films and products of the entertainment industry, which they have seen, have taught them what to expect. They react automatically. Reward experimentation with your attention. There is literally no way to fix the situation on YouTube. There's no way to have more interesting content if you just don't go out of your way to find it. Because YouTube clearly isn't interested in doing that. Sometimes it works in terms of the algorithm, but every once in a while it changes and starts to do real weird shit, starts to take down everyone's videos for weird reasons and other things like that. It's just that this platform is not really interested in promoting something that is a little bit more niche. You know what I mean? So if you want those people to produce something more interesting, you're gonna have to reward it with your attention when it actually is, different. This goes for any form of media or art. The rich got nothing new to say. And this is why you have such a boring ass pool of content. Because people who can afford to continue to make videos and not, go entirely broke, those people usually are already rich, have been rich because of generational wealth and other things like that. And they don't have much in common with regular people. And they don't have enough of a unique perspective to actually create something that is new and exciting. The rich got nothing to say. They need shit to stay the same. Because change can only bring their downfall. The rich are conservative in more ways than one. And when I talk about experimentation, dude, or dissident voices, I mean real shit, okay? People who say hateful or derogatory shit to minorities, those are not rebels. The world was literally built with subjugation as the foundation, okay? It's nothing more than holding on to conservative roots whenever you're saying something heinous like that. Those Joe Rogan types are nothing if not bootlickers. And many people that give us this aesthetic subversion, that bites off of the left and gain attention through that, they are nothing more but tools to strengthen the actual already existing system. Unless they actually have an ideology, action, and a backbone, to back the aesthetics up. Whenever Orson Welles offends against the tricks of the trade, he is forgiven because his departures from the norm are regarded as calculated mutations, which serve all the more strongly to confirm the validity of the system. This is why whenever there's a lot of waves happening and a lot of change that's on the horizon, you get people like Zoran Mamdani, where you genuinely believe he's gonna stand on business, but he is in a Democratic Party and he is so easily made into a lightning rod where any type of dislike that people have, they can basically think that they're making a change because they have installed that person into the party, one of the leading parties in the country. It's just all made to return every single dissident voice back in line, back into the stream, the river of society, the way that it's been flowing. This is the fashion of the subjugated. Brands and designers imitating the poor are sinking their teeth into the look, authenticity of sex workers a la Anora. The West Vancouver hacks trying real hard to fake this Eastern Bloc look, with the whole Adidas shtick. We brought them freedom and now they have such an interesting doom gloom aesthetic. Gopnik core. Whatever, bitch. Whatever. You can cosplay as literally anyone, even a dissident voice. As long as you'd like to do it within the system that already exists and not actually change anything, just get the position of a dissident voice. They're gonna like you. But what completely fettered the artist was the pressure and the accompanying drastic threats, always to fit into business life as an aesthetic expert. Formerly, the Kant and the Hume, they signed their letters, your most humble and obedient servant, and undermined the foundations of throne and altar. Today, they address heads of government by their first names, yet in every artistic activity, they are subject to their illiterate masters. Not to conform means to be rendered powerless, economically and therefore spiritually, to be self-employed. Okay, Adorno, slow your horses, goddamn. I don't know, you don't have to attack me like that. Most of all, fashion is a reflection of the market, and market is controlled by the demand, and demand is people, except in a production-controlled society where we, the people, the audience, start to ask for what we already know and already saw. Whereas today, in material production, the mechanism of supply and demand is disintegrating. In the superstructure, it still operates as a check in the ruler's favor. The consumers are the workers and employees, the farmers and lower middle class. Capitalist production so confines them, body and soul, that they fall helpless victims to what is offered them. As naturally as the ruled always took the morality imposed upon them more seriously than did the rulers themselves, the deceived masses are today captivated by the myth of success even more than the successful are. Immovably, they insist on the very ideology which enslaves them. The misplaced love of the common people for the wrong which is done them is a greater force than the cunning of the authorities. It is stronger even than the rigorism of the Hayes Office. Hayes Office, or Hayes Code, is basically this motion picture production code that was set up to have all of the people who are working in the motion picture industry to self-censor so they could actually be distributed in the country. And it was in use from 1934 to 1968. God, it's really hard to sit on the floor. Why did I do this? I don't know. What seems possible materially dictates taste, and culture becomes a stronger censoring force, than the actual rules imposed by the ruling class. So we gotta get rid of the ideas of what is possible ourselves, because we're the ones policing each other into inaction and passive consumption of slop. It's not that deep. It's just a movie. It's just a song. It's just a performance. We can't feed the hungry. Who told you that? Who told you that quickly? Because some slave owner's kid or a worshiper of some other types of scum like the inhuman freaks a la some Altman and Mark Zuckerberg reign. The fashion and its shit quality today, the speed of things becoming outdated, what's popular and not. This shit is stronger than Hayes Office, baby. And it's getting even stronger, even more effective when it's at the height of pressure because of the extreme class divide. Serious art has been withheld from those for whom the hardship and oppression of life make a mockery of seriousness, and who must be glad if they can use time not spent at the production line just to keep going. Light art has been the shadow of autonomous art. It is the social bad conscience of serious art. You have to keep anyone who both knows what they're talking about and have perspective of a human being, of a regular person, of an average person, out of those high fashion places, for example. Because most of bourgeois work would become ridiculed by literally anyone who can see how vacuous and weak their work is. You gotta keep people with a conscience to a minimum. We can't laugh at these shit concepts and self-aggrandizing bullshit of these people, because what would they have if not unearned consideration and dictated seriousness with which they carry themselves? If they didn't have those things just given to them because this is a space where everyone is taking each other's bullshit seriously, a room full of Gwyneth Paltrows, what would they have? They wouldn't be able to stand up to the competition of people who actually think, who actually have experiences that are beyond just being a consumer. A whole room of people who are so weak they are worn by their clothes instead of the other way around. The now debased works of art, together with the rubbish to which the medium assimilates them, are secretly rejected by the fortunate recipients who are supposed to be satisfied by the mere fact that there is so much to be seen and heard. They want to overwhelm us into accepting anything, literally anything. Why eat anything good, like a properly made meal that has a limit on its quantity, if they can just produce plastic-infested slop and keep adding, food coloring and texturizers to make it look different from each other? If there is so much slop of various shapes and colors around us at all times, and we have to sample them, spend time and money to actually, see if it's good or not. If there's so much to choose from and all of it is shit, would we be able to even tell if it's shit anymore? If we're just overwhelmed by the insane quantity of shit. Clearly, that's the logic of AI freaks, because those videos that are generated by it, God, so pathetic. It makes you want to get rid of all technology, go back in time, just nuke anybody who created AI in general. Editing me is not going to be adding that shit here. Even for the sake of keeping someone's attention on screen, Because first of all, bitch, get it together. Second of all, I'm not looking at any AI if I don't have to look at it, if I'm not actually forced to look at it, and I'm being forced every single fucking day. Seriously, whoever is pushing AI generated slop anywhere they should be shot, and I mean it. To all those people making videos speculating as to why we're stuck in the past in terms of aesthetics, in terms of fashion, or why we can't fix anything or come up with anything new, it's not because of stupid shit that's entirely divorced from reality. It's simply wealth disparity and the existence of billionaires that will kill us all, slow and painful death over the next few years. And that's bumming us out. That's why. And the worst part, it's not about how bad it is, but because we're acting like it's not just a few men that are made out of flesh and bones just like us. Those fuckers forgot about memento mori. They forgot that they're soft and fragile just like the rest of us. They're not fucking bulletproof. I think they forgot. The only way to make fashion fun or worth talking about is to build an entirely new world. Sorry to say. Where buying a pair of pants that you need for winter does not mean misery and exploitation for someone else across the globe. You can't enjoy yourself because you're not an asshole. That's why. And you're just not happy, I don't know, hurting others, especially against your will, constantly, without a choice. It's not human nature to live like that. And in the words of the wise philosopher Ramshackle Alex 7772, a comment left on Hank Green's videos where he's once again trying to muddy the waters around AI's negative effects by making the conversation turn into like semantics and philosophical slop. Hank, fuck, get it together, man, I swear. Use your brain and leave capitalism behind. Just, are you a man of science or not? I don't understand. Anyway, in the words of Ramshackle Alex 7772, it's not us as a species that have acted with lack of caution. It's a very small minority of our species who hold an extremely disproportionate amount of power, who have acted with a lack of caution out of their own greed and self-interest. Go read a book. Watch educational content or fun content if you want to, but something that's not brain dead. I'm begging you. No Mr. Beast. If I see anyone watching Mr. Beast, I'm shooting both of you. Spend time with friends and family. Yeah, watch God. I got thrown out by starting to shoot somebody. Yeah, watch educational content and organize, spend time with friends and family. It's not time for dumbass trends that brain-dead influencers try to just shove down your throat. No more. No more.